So Breana Norton. So what's very strange actually is seeing you on this side. I've kind of watched you grow up a little bit. I had you in my classroom. You were one of my more talented journalists way back in the day, and you've progressed and has very much grown up into somebody worth discussing and exploring. Like I said, I know who you are. Most of this city, they know who you are. If they've been around for any distant past, they probably know your dad, they know your mom, and then of course they know you. You're the tennis star that was. But if you were going to give me a 30,000 foot view and bio of who you are, who is Breana Norton?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on the community studio today. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm excited to be back in Clinton because I am a Clintonian and a proud graduate of Clinton High School. And after graduating, I went to Mississippi State, and I have an undergrad and a master's degree from there. And I'm currently pursuing a doctorate in public policy as well. I'm about halfway through my coursework, and I just moved back and I got a job and I started as the City of Clinton's new chief of staff on August 1st.
So
And
you've
I do
been
still play a lot of
you
tennis.
do play a lot of tennis. I do know that for a fact. Without my help, I was just the bus driver as the tennis coach, but you are
You
actually
got us
pretty good.
there. That is half the battle.
That's right. So you've been pretty interested in policy for a while. Again, you stated you've got undergrad, a graduate degree, and then you're pursuing a PhD in this. But and I say policy instead of politics because we're not necessarily doing partisan things left and right, but it's more pursuit of policy. So what kind of background and experiences do you have that lets the city here and those of us on the board and all know that you're worth your salt when you dive into the policy of this organizational jungle?
For sure. In a jungle it is at times. And well, if you'd asked me 10 years ago if I would be in a policy role, I would have said no because I went to college to be a sports broadcaster. And as you mentioned, I was in your journalism class for the Arrow Appeal. I was a sports editor back in the day, and I figured out a little bit too deep into my undergrad degree that I did not want to do sports broadcasting, but I still really thought that sports was going to be a part of my career. And I've always been interested, and you don't want to use the word politics per se, but I've always been interested in politics. So that's when name, image, and likeness was becoming a very national conversation. And there was also a national conversation about having legislation for that. And so that's when I got interested in sports policy. And so I lobbied for a couple of years with a firm out of Clinton, actually, and they did contract lobbying and educational policy, pharmaceutical policy, sports policy, all kinds of stuff. And through that lobbying experience, talking to legislators, talking to stakeholders, getting really in the nitty gritty of the Mississippi Code and policy, I discovered that I loved government and always wanted to be involved in government somehow. And from there, I was introduced to the Stennis Institute of Government at Mississippi State University, which is where I came from before taking this job. And I was hired there actually to do research on name, image, and likeness and kind of get that conversation started in Mississippi. But that transformed into a role surrounding government as a whole in Mississippi. And I was not doing sports research when I left the Stennis Institute, but they taught me everything I knew about municipal governance, state governance, and just how things are done in Mississippi and the need for community development. And they did a lot of trainings, and I was very thankful to travel the state throughout my 6 years with them and talk to elected officials, talk to stakeholders, and tell them about how to change their government and what their form of government does, and all kinds of different stuff about that.
What is the Stennis Institute? Like I said, I knew that you were involved in many things, but like if you're, we always talk about the elevator speech. You're on the elevator. Oh, what are you doing? I'm with the Stennis Institute. Oh, that's nice. What is that? What would you say?
Funny that you said that. I've always had a job that requires more explanation. Like, and when I go to the doctor, it says position. I'm like, what do I put? But the Stennis Institute of Government and Community Development is a think tank at Mississippi State University, and they really have a fourfold mission with community development, applied research, governmental services, and leadership training. But their mission is to serve municipalities. And because of that, they do research for municipalities, and they train. I've talked a lot about training elected officials on how their government works, since every city is different, and also state employees. I was through them fortunate to present at the Mississippi Municipal League Conference
Oh yeah.
on upcoming issues that could affect municipalities' budget for that next fiscal year. Um, and they really have the municipalities of Mississippi's interests at heart, and travel there, talk to them about how to progress their cities moving forward.
So our city, we're evolving into the 21st century. I always love saying that because we're 25, we're a quarter of the way into this. The bill paying job is an education, and I always am convinced that schools of whatever type are always 30 years behind. But when we talk about getting into this 21st century, here we are 25 years into this, but we're getting there. We're coming around and evolving, kind of looking with economic development happening on top of the plans that we're going to do work with MDOT that they have on top of Highway 80. We are halfway into expanding the sewer and water infrastructure. I wrote that right here, our administrative efforts are following suit as well. So we're not the sleepy little town that most of the people remember from way back in the day. My parents grew up here. They very much remember Clinton prior to the Parkway. I even remember Clinton prior to the Parkway. That makes me ancient. Um, but but as we kind of continue on to this, you've been tapped to be the new and really the first ever chief of staff that we've had here in the city for Mayor Purdy. What does a chief of staff do?
Absolutely. So I have a bit of a two-part role, being chief of staff and special projects. And I'll talk about the special project aspect in a minute. But as the chief of staff role, Mayor Purdy and I have a great working relationship, and we have a very open dialogue about decisions affecting the city. And I'm in a majority of the meetings that he is in and attends, and we talk about options very openly about what best affects the city of Clinton. And I'm kind of like a connector between a lot of different parties, whether that be employees, the citizens of Clinton, or various Clinton stakeholders, and the mayor. So acting part of the mayor's office, I am kind of that connector or bridge, if you will.
Yeah.
And there's also that special projects component of the role, and that is very broad on purpose. And because also this role is very broad because I'm kind of making the job description every
Hmm.
single day as we
Right.
go, because I'm the first one, and it changes every single day for sure. So that special project can look like a project that involves so many different departments within the city that just need a point person, instead of departments taking up their time to
Right.
talk to this department, that department, and then everybody has to talk amongst each other again. I can be the point person to help progress that. And also some projects that I have taken a lead on, such as the Board of Aldermen approving the salary survey and schedule last Tuesday night. Kind of took the lead on that,
Because
and
that's through
will
the Stennis Institute as well. So again,
absolutely,
you'd be the person to kind of help with this.
absolutely for sure. So I kind of focus on strategy, policy, and also aligning Mayor Purdy's vision for the city of Clinton and those operations.
One of the I always throw in curveball questions in everything that I ever do, and it never shocks anybody. But when we were kind of prodding you a little bit in your interview process, I asked a specific question, and I absolutely loved your answer. So I want you to share this.
Okay.
My wife and I are extraordinarily purposefully organized. It might not look organized and all, but we plan months in advance. And so I asked you, I was like, if you're going to be juggling all of these, the balls and keeping them up in the air, how do you stay organized? And you had a great answer. So how do you stay organized?
I color code every single aspect of my life, and here's a great example of my desk. This is my weekly to-do list. You can see there's many different colors. Um, and every department of Clinton, and also every department in Breana's personal life, has a color. And so I go from there, and like Parks and Rec is green because I think of grass on a baseball field. And so everything that I do Parks and Rec are green, and it's crossed out in green. And so I can look at that and my eyes really target what I have done and what I haven't done. And my Outlook folders are the exact same way, exact same colors that match with my pastel pens. It's funny, every time someone comes in here, they're like, do you have black or blue pen? And I do. You just have to dig.
Yes, they're somewhere in there, but you
They're
have,
somewhere, I
yeah.
promise.
So being so organized and having everything color coded, I guarantee you've got some plans and some goals. What are some of the goals that you're excited about that the city is kind of aiming to achieve?
For sure. I just want to start off by saying if you are a resident of Clinton or visit Clinton, have anything to do with Clinton, you should be ecstatic about what all the city has going on. And you might not, some things are in the very beginning stages. So not everybody knows about everything going on, and I don't either. But the city of Clinton just has so many exciting things. We're Rising Spring and businesses coming and taking a look at that property, and then also we have some stuff going on Pine Haven, and then all these economic development areas that are just right for Clinton to be a part of and various projects. The most humbling part of this job, and I haven't even been here 2 months, is, I just see things as a citizen of Clinton for my whole life. I just see things pop up and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. But the work, the thought, the effort, the time that it's put into everything that happens here is amazing. And it's been amazing to see how the citizens and the employees of Clinton invest back into Clinton, and everything they do has a purpose. And so if you ever come to Clinton, you should be ecstatic about everything that is happening.
So what about Breana though? So again, you said you had no desire to end up running policy, anything. You wanted to go into sports journalism. I was going to law school, and then I was going to end up being a sports journalist, but then I didn't do that, and then I was all the things. So I very much get it. It's a roundabout, broken road to get where you want to go. But if you had to nail a few aspirations down that you have for you, um, what does that look like? What do you have for your future? What would you like to achieve?
People ask me that all the time, and my answer for them has not changed in about 5 years. It's like I don't know. And so I'm very grateful to be in this position. This position did not exist June 1st, and so I'm very thankful to be here. I know that I wanted to move back to Clinton, so that was a very big aspiration that I had. I've never wanted to go quite far, so I can check that off already. So I'm very grateful to be here, and I don't know career wise, so we'll just see.
Yeah, I think a lot of times if you've got, any sort of broad brush that you would have, like I remember being young, and even when I was teaching with y'all, I used to joke about this, that I wanted to own my own publication. I wanted some sort of something. And when I was in charge of the student newspaper at school, technically I had my own publication. And, like I said, bill paying job with the school district, I get to run a website and send things out. So technically I've achieved a goal. And so it, it,
Absolutely.
it makes it what you want it to be. So kind of to close things out, usually I ask everybody, okay, well, it's great. How can they get in touch with you if they need anything from you? But I kind of want to ask you this in a different way. So who are the people and what are the kinds of topics that need to reach out to you? And those types of people with those types of topics, how can they reach out to you?
Well, they are still anyone. If you see me in Kroger, I'm there quite often. Please say hello. And if you have an issue, if I can't help you right then, I will help you get to someone who knows the answer to that issue. Absolutely. So City Hall is always open. My office is straight back when you walk in. So it's always open to anyone and everyone, whether you live here or are just passing through. I'm happy to talk to you about anything.
Well, you're one of my favorite humans in the world. I will say that you're probably one of my favorite Mississippi State Bulldogs, even though I'm an Ole Miss Rebel. I'm excited to have you here with us, and so I know that you're just going to add a little extra fuel to the tank to get us where we need to be. So I'm going to let you get back to the rest of your day, and then we'll see where we can take the city.
All right. Well, thank you so much again for having me on.
All right. Thank you.